Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to another premiere draft of Final Fantasy, my favorite set of the year. Without further ado, let's get back into things. We've opened a great mono-colored rare, and that is always an excellent way to start off your draft. We've got the Primal Odin, 6 mana, 5/3, destroy a creature an opponent controls. Then, if you hit your opponent with this the turn after you play it, they lose the game. And then, the turn that it sacrifices itself, you also get to draw 2 cards and have each player lose 2 life. So, destroying a creature your opponent controls, drawing 2 cards makes this a 3-for-1 right there. And then you also get a lot of good damage out of it. And sometimes, you can even just end the game out of nowhere. Really, really nice card. Gonna take that here. If it weren't in the pack, honestly, that's the awkward part, is that the second best card in the pack is also in black, so the player on our left might start hopping into the same color as us, which will mean that we don't get a bunch of black spells in pack 2, but as long as black is open from the right, which we can't affect, we should still get plenty of cards to go with this. So we'll lead with Primal Odin here. Pick number 2. What do we have? There's Travel the Overworld for a deck with a bunch of towns. This can be really efficient card draw. 7 mana draw for, honestly, not the most unplayable thing ever, even if it doesn't have any discount in this set, because you can build nice, slower controlling decks that can make it to 7 mana, but it's certainly much better with enough towns. It's a really nice card, fun build around. There's also an X-Death. It's really nice in any green-black deck. There are plenty of playable cards in green and black that will mill yourself a bit. Get to that ability faster. There's also a Traxos off the bonus sheet, which is pretty fun. Artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic, so our summon will untap this. There's a legend in pretty much at least one per pack in the set as well. I feel like there's a lot of ways to untap this, and it's only 4 mana. We'll go for the Traxos here. That sounds fun. Pick number 3 now. Sorceress' Schemes is an excellent card for more controlling builds with a bunch of instants and sorceries. This is essentially 2 removal spells off of 1 top deck in the late game. You can pick up a Sephiroth's Intervention with it and cast that, and then flash back and pick up the Sephiroth's Intervention again. So I do think it's nice in a red-black deck if we go more grindy, more controlling, towards like Grixis, red, black, and blue. Phantom Train would untap the Traxos, which is cute. The aerial unit would untap it, but the train's on color and would untap it. I don't think the train is all that good, though. It's good in black, white, and basically no other deck. Yeah, I think Schemes is just the best card here. The most worth speculating on. Pick 4, Overkill. Excellent, excellent sign that black is at least somewhat open here. We see that. Pick 4. Even the Marlboros are perfectly fine playable in the color. I think Overkill is the best card in this pack regardless of color. So that makes this pick very easy for me. And plays super well with Sorceress' Schemes as well. This card is better the cheaper the cards you're picking up with it are. We can pick up an Overkill, get our red mana, and then cast it for only another 2. So if we have 6 mana, we could play Schemes and recast Overkill in the same turn, which is beautiful. Pick 5, there's the Sephiroth's Intervention. Great, efficient, instant speed removal. Really good for the controlling Sorceress' Schemes style deck. And the thing is, this Sorceress' Schemes vanishes, we play other colors. These are still excellent cards for pretty much any deck. Overkill, Intervention, Traxos, and Odin is a great start. And we can pick whatever secondary color we want from there. Don't have to stay married to Schemes. Pick 6, there's that Marlboro. Flexible card if it's in your opening hand. And you really want to keep your 2-lander or something. If it's a 2-lander with a Marlboro in it, that helps a lot. But it's also a great top deck at any point. Great way to spend your 6 mana, get a 2-for-1, a 4/4 body, and rip a card out of your opponent's hand. That 4/4 body more than big enough to often trade into a creature on board, making it a literal 2-for-1 deal. 1 card out of hand and 1 card off the board. Pick 7. Limit Break is cute with enter the battlefield effects like Marlboro, but it's not very consistent, not very powerful. There's not really anything to speculate on here. If I were to do so, it'd be on fixing like World Map or Royal City. Not trying to play a Laboratory Maniac deck. I honestly dislike Limit Break enough. I think I'd rather go for Royal City. I mean, The one time that I'd be interested in Limit Break is if I get like a million copies of Heck Dies. If I have like 3 Heck Dies and also some Marlboros in the top end, that can work out. Heck Dies is a 2-mana 1/1 when it enters, your opponent discards a card. Pick 8. White Mage's Staff is one of the best white aggressive cards. Just one of the best 2-drops to play on curve. 2-mana 2/2, gain a life every time it attacks, and move that equipment around later. So that's pretty good. Alternatively, because I do love the idea of a Sorceress's Schemes' Grixis control deck, we could take the Baron, blue-red dual land, towards blue-red-black. But as much as I love the idea of the Grixis control deck, we haven't seen anything that leads us to believe that that strategy is particularly open. We just took a Sorceress's Schemes pretty early, and that was it from there. Pick 9. There's some more decent white spells here to maybe end up in the black-white strategy. Weapons, Vendor, and Fate of the Suncrist are fine in that deck. Vendor, of course, much more premium in red-white, but even black-white, there are some job-select equipment in black, as well as, of course, white. I think I'd rather take the Fate of the Suncrist, but again, Weapons, Vendor, not bad. Yep, there's the Snow still here, looking like black-white could be the path to take. Fang is fun if you get enough flashbackers and other graveyard recursion, but we're on 1 Sorceress's Schemes to go with them right now, so I'd go with the Snow. There's a Filler Cat, 2 mana. Zach Fair, pick 12. Yeah, white looks like a solid color to move into here. So maybe the black-white deck this time around tends to be a relatively aggressive deck, because you've got all the cheap white creatures that are nice and aggressive, and then you have all the good black removal to keep the path clear. Has a bit of a sacrifice sub-theme with all of its signpost uncommons and a lot of its rares and stuff. You know, like the Phantom Train we saw in pack 1. I think I'd still rather take a black spell like a Vane's Treachery, but we're like 80% to play white at this point. I technically have more white spells than black spells, but my black spells, because they're earlier picks, are much stronger cards that I'm much more tied to, despite the quantity of white spells. Snow, Pearl, Fate, these are all very filler, honestly, at their respective mana costs. So I'm going to take the Treachery here. You know, like Primal Odin, Intervention, Marlboro, Overkill. Not a single one of these is particularly filler, in my opinion. And the top end ones are like really, really good versus the top end white spells just being solid, like Zack and Staff. But now we do see another excellent white spell. We'll have to find some artifacts with mana value 2 or less, other than the White Mage's Staff, ideally. But even if this is just a 4-mana 3/2 flyer that draws a White Mage's Staff, that's already a good deal. It's a really good card if we get one of the premium uncommons for it, like the Dragoon's Lance. That's 1 and a white for a 2/1 flyer, and you can re-equip that for 4. See, now that I have Delivery Moogle Zack and White Mage's Staff, I think I'm getting pretty tied to the color. Surprised that first Phantom Train didn't wheel, or maybe it did and I just still didn't care at the time. But maybe we can wheel this one towards black-white. Ultima, interesting. So generally speaking, Ultima's pretty bad in this set because the best white cards are the creatures, right? So you end up with really creature-heavy decks, and board wipes just do not play well in creature-heavy decks unless they're in your opening hand. Then you can play around them a bit, but usually you're just going to curve out, have a bunch on board, top deck a board wipe, and be like, oh, guess I'm mulliganed. So I'm not in love with Ultima. That said, a deck with Treachery, Overkill, Intervention, Fate of the Suncrist. We pick up some card draw and stuff. We could try to play a weird controlling version of this deck. I have a ton of creatures already, though, so it doesn't seem like the most likely path to take. Yeah, I'm just going to take the cat here. This is very good with a couple equipment on the board. Getting that buff, being a 3/3 Flying Vigilance for 3 is absurd, and putting any equipment onto a 3/3 Flying Vigilance makes it a massive, massive, massive threat. In a vacuum, I like Heck Dies better than Black Mage's Rod, but with a Delivery Moogle, I like the Black Mage's Rod better. We have a couple reasons to like it. Delivery Moogle, and as well that Gala Cat we just took. We really want to get more artifacts, so I'm going to take the Black Mage's Rod on this one over a second cat. I don't want to end up like taking 3 cats and then only having 1 or 2 rods. The other nice thing about the Black Mage's Rod, it works with the Historic ability on Giant of Babel. It will untap that as well. There's a lot of little synergies that make Rod better than Heck Dies for this deck. Primal Garuda and Weapons Vendor are both fine filler. I think I prefer Garuda for this deck. It's another Saga, so it's another historic card for our Giant. Yeah. Got another Primal Garuda here, but now I think I'll just take the 3-mana equipment. Fill out that curve a little more. Another cat, Resentful Revelation. These are both great spells. Love the card selection Revelation gives us, and it's super good in the late game. We flood since it's got that flashback too. I'm gonna go Revelation here. I think white is open enough. We'll probably get enough cats that'll end up cutting 1 or 2 by the end of the draft. Like, I feel like I can end up with 3 or 4 cats in this deck without seeking them out particularly highly. And here we see that black-white is indeed open. We get that Signpost uncommon for the kind of black-white sack deck. We don't have any sack outlets or anything, but just black-white, play your stuff out aggressively, let it die. Got our first Magitech Infantry, which will be good if we find another one in pack 3, and bad if we don't. We wheel a Weapons Vendor. We wheel an Ash, which is not unplayable. It is a legend for Traxos. And that's going to be it for that pack, but we're at 22 out of 23 playables. Looking like it's going to be a great deck. We already have our non-creature spells on lock. We just have excellent card draw and a bunch of removal in our non-creature slot. All we need to do here is just improve our creatures, draft some stronger creatures at the various mana costs across the curve, and we'll end up with a really good deck. This is a very depressing pack 3 pick 1. The on-color cards just do not work in this archetype. We don't really care about filling our graveyard. Cloudbound Moogle is pretty inefficient. Final Days is not great in a deck where a chunk of the creatures are technically equipment spells, so they don't add to our creature cards in grave. This pack's basically a complete miss for pack 3 pick 1, which is disappointing. Honestly not sure anything we draft is even gonna make the cut in the end. I'm just gonna take 20 gems, honestly. Here we go, this is a much better pack. We got another Black Mage's Rod, got a Dark Knight's Greatsword, we've got a Sir Conrad the Grim. These are real nice cards for black-white. Even You're Not Alone, not a bad combat trick, but again, our non-creature spell quality is very high already, so we want to up the creature quality. I think for curve purposes, I might want another 2 here. I'm gonna want to end up with another 2, but I like Conrad a lot. I like all those cards a lot, but I think Conrad's my favorite. Good spot on the mana curve as well. First 5 drop. Okay, here I really want another 2-drop like Black Mage's Rod. I don't think we're that good at gaining life consistently for Aerith, which is awkward. And again, a lot of good non-creatures, so I don't need Restoration Magic. And not super high on Phantom Train. We didn't get a ton of expendable fodder for it yet. Now we can take Dark Knight's Greatsword. Although, how many cards do we have for Catch a Fish? Artifact or creature? We have 5 instants and sorceries, and 2 enchantments, but they're both creatures. So there are 5 cards that we can't hit. 5 cards in the land, so 17 plus 5, 23 don't work. So this is less. It's a weighted coin flip against us. Feels kind of slow. I don't know, I'll take the Greatsword. Ooh, another Sephiroth Intervention. Best card here. I like Tonberry. I know a lot of people don't, but I've played in a lot of decks, and it has always gotten some good damage in for me in these more aggressive black decks like this. So Tonberry, not bad at all, but I don't think I could take it over Sephiroth's Intervention. Another Primal Garuda, but work on the mana curve, I think, and grab another Stiltskin. Just get a 1-drop in here. Real good with Greatsword. Pay 3, and now I've got a 4-2 lifelinker. Attack in, gain that life right back when Stiltskin trades up into a 2-2 or a 3-3 or something. Yeah, I like this in this kind of equipment-heavy black-white deck. Another White Mage's Staff is beautiful. Fill out that 2-drop slot with an excellent 2-mana play. And then a white or a sight, on a pick 8 for one final great removal spell. I can probably just drop Fate of the Suncrist then and run the Aura Sight over that. These are other non-creatures. It's a removal spell that triggers Traxos. This is probably the best Traxos deck I'm going to end up drafting. Almost every card in this deck triggers this. Like, our creatures are legends and equipment. Like, almost every creature in the deck triggers it. And then there's, like, Saga creatures as well that also technically trigger it. Such a good Traxos deck. Kind of an insane amount of removal if I take Garuda. But another Saga creature. I think most of our equip abilities are cheap enough that Vendor's not that exciting. It's one of our few cards that doesn't untap Traxos. This is a fun one. Last pick cat. Remember when I said I probably don't need to draft that too highly? As much as I like it. So here's the awkward thing. I think that the cat is better than Snow. But part of what looks so fun about this deck is just how insanely good it is at untapping Traxos. And I would make it slightly worse at untapping Traxos if I cut the Snows. But if you look at our mana curve, the slot where we need to cut cards, one of the slots we need to cut cards is the 3-drop slot. There's a very huge chunk here, so I feel like it's cut double Snow if I'm strictly trying to win. But increasing the power level of the Traxos and running the 2 Snow over the Galacat is very funny. I could meet in the middle and cut one of each, and that way I'll never get hit by the legend rule with the Snows. They're the only legend in my whole deck I have 2 copies of right now, so I think I'm going to cut 1 copy no matter what. I think I probably should cut 2, but too funny with Traxos. Again, a lot of our equip abilities are pretty cheap here, so the cost reduction from Weapons Vendor is not the greatest, so it's mainly the 4-mana 2/2 draw card, which is okay. But I think I'm more concerned with the damage I'm pushing in. I'm going to run a 1-mana 2/1 with no abilities. We did not get a second Magitech Infantry. That might be fine in this deck. Could cut one of these cats. One of these Garudas. Don't think I want to cut the Maulbearer. I like the flexibility on that. So these are potential cuts. I don't think we cut any non-creatures, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'd be 17 creatures and 6 removal spells. That's kind of perfect. Well, 5 removal spells, 1 draw spell. Oh, this deck looks nice. Yeah, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow. I have to cut like everything I set aside here. I want to cut all these. Maybe cut the infantry without a second copy. Sure. Then 2 of these get to go back in the deck. 1 cat, 1 Garuda in the middle there. All right, real nice looking black-white aggro deck here. Very excited to see how it does. So without further ado, let's just hop into the gameplay. All right, here we are on the play for game 1. If our opponent doesn't have early removal in our hand, or in their hand, we've got some pretty fun stuff we can do. Just slapping the Greatsword onto a menacing threat. If they've got the cheap removal for that, we'll end up just shooting ourselves in the face for like 6 to do that, because we'll spend 3 to put it there and then another 3 to move it back elsewhere. But I think it's worth the risk. Seems good. Boom. Yeah, we just deal 5 to them right off the bat, and that's already worth the life payment to move it back at this point, I think. If we get 1 more attack in with it, it was super worth it. Okay, they top deck Treachery. They didn't have it in hand last turn, or they would have cast it, so good draw for our opponent. And that is where we get a little bit of that punishment here. I'm going to Delivery Moogle. Mana efficient, pick up the second artifact for the cat as well. This hand wants staff, I think. We're going to keep paying life frequently this game. If we hit a land, cat plus staff looks like a good turn. Don't hit a land, but they play a creature I can treachery, so treachery plus staff also a perfectly good turn. They are under an astronomical amount of pressure right now. They're already down to 4 against 3 different creatures, all of which could one-shot them with a greatsword on it. And the greatsword re-equips, of course, are free in terms of mana payment. Yeah, there's the concession for our opponent. Just an incredible start for our deck there. Our opponent stumbles a little bit in the early game. They had a removal spell on turn 3 and then a creature on turn 4. Not the slowest start in the universe, but just stumbling that much is enough to just completely crush our opponent there with how quick that hand was. So, quite solid start for the deck. We are 1-0 heading into game 2. Alright, here we are for game 2. This is definitely a worse hand than our first one. I mean, our first one was great at the start, and then it just drew super well even, so. But we get to just sit here and gain some life for a little bit. A couple of removal spells if they start putting pressure on us. Looks fine. We do have a lot of 2 and 3 mana creatures in this deck, so there's plenty of great draws to fill out the middle of this curve. So far so bad though, we top decked a 6 draw, which isn't horrific. I mean, this hand didn't really have a finisher in it either, so not useless. Now we're really hoping they play a quality creature turn 3, get some value out of this overkill and make sure we're still using our mana efficiently throughout these turns. That's a ward creature, so about the worst case scenario. Here we go with Delivery Moogle, finding. I mean, I think the fact that this gives +1/+1 is worth dealing a little bit less damage. The extra toughness can just matter often. Might end up feeling bad for not swamp cycling the Marlboro, but get 4 out of 6 mana for it pretty consistently. But yeah, if I miss land 5, I'll be sad about it. If I hit land 5, we're doing great. Here comes Garuda. I guess Garuda's not like the greatest spell in the universe on this board. We're not really getting value off of the flying trigger. Our other creature already has flying, but blow up a creature and get some damage in is the best it's going to do. So it's perfectly fine here. Reverse Garuda me. Can't believe you've done this. Esper Origins, fantastic value, rare. Doesn't seem the most insane because it is one of the cards that sacks itself eventually, but gain 4, surveil 4, draw a card, get 2 mana, and overrun your whole board. Also hit for 4 in the middle at some point. Just enough abilities that it plays very well. That was not a bad draw. Solid play for the turn. I guess I should have played it pre-combats if they wanted to take the trade here. We would make them lose some Sir Conrad life. Nice. That's what I was going to say, is I was not expecting the trade here. I don't know why. I have no idea why. I guess because they still have 2 abilities to trigger with Garuda, so maybe they want to keep it around for that. But they don't have a creature on board for the +1/+0. But yeah, I have no idea why I feel that way, but for some reason, just instinctually, I was like, I feel like they don't want to trade their Garuda into mine, so probably get this damage in. Okay, that Crystal's Chosen's really bad for me, because the crackback is scary. Marlboro should be good. Unfortunately, it exiles cards off the top, so that doesn't trigger Sir Conrad life loss. But the Garuda's going to sack itself. They'll take a damage from that. But their worst case scenario is flashing back Esper Origins and gaining back another 2. I don't know if we beat this Crystals Chosen into Esper Origins. It's a very, very good combo. If I don't kill them basically next swing, they trample that whole wide board and we're super dead. But even if they weren't like trampling the board, just how wide they are is really threatening on counterattacks with us down to 13. That is an excellent top deck for the Modwin. It's exactly mana efficient. It's not too cheap, it's not too expensive. It lets them use all their mana for the turn. Beautiful stuff for our opponent. They are down to 8 facing a Sir Conrad. So if I'm lucky off the mills, we can get the kill, but Sir Conrad's a little weaker in our deck at using its mill ability. It's really good at the trades on board pinging our opponent, right? Because we're playing to the board a lot and having a bunch of expendable creatures trading off. But when it comes to milling creatures out of our deck, a lot of our creatures are equipment that don't count. So it's awkward there. I mean, I could just overkill this so I don't have to worry about trample, and I'm sitting here with 2 4 toughness blockers against their board. Makes their attacks not the greatest. Probably do play a staff as well. Yeah, I get a ping off of casting overkill here. Oh, I don't, because that exiles itself. The exiling itself, actually, the Wombo combo against Sir Conrad. So rude. Yeah, I want a wide enough board to really make sure I'm not dying on the crackback here. But I also want to start spamming Sir Conrad abilities as quickly as possible. Okay. That's so frustrating. I mean, we die even if we play the staff there. We go to 2 life and then don't have a good crackback. Brutal. I mean, the card of the game by far was that Crystals Chosen for that super big board. You can tell we saw that. We had a pretty good like racing position there, but if you get to the 7 mana for the Crystals Chosen, this card is the truth. 4 for 1, 4 2/2 bodies to go wide with. Incredible with cards like Mughul's Valor that care about the number of creatures on board. Cards like the Esper Origins that buffs all your creatures on board. And of course, just having the wide board state, being able to tap 3 creatures off 1 spell, make sure you get all that damage in. So really good token deck from our opponent. I wouldn't be surprised with this much token production between that and Fat Chocobo and Mughul's Valor and Rescue Mission can also make 3/1/1s. Wouldn't be surprised if they're running like the +2/+0 to everybody and stuff. Yeah, that was gross. All right, that'll be 1-1 heading into game 3. Real solid hand here for game 3. We got Rod on 2, Great Sword on 3, and Garuda on 4 if they attack us with anybody. If they don't, we just hold up Intervention, and that's still a pretty good play. Ooh, Judge Magister? Sure. Go for it again here, see if we can't get the menacing 5 power in with the Great Sword. Worried against red-black, that is going to give them a pretty solid chance to just blow up Judge Magister with a lot of the common removal. Vane's Treachery or Thunder Magic. We'll give them the thanks, but again, I expect them to die this turn. I'm waiting. I'm ready for this sad face. Not just yet. Interesting. Is he living? I'm gonna just kill him on attacks here. That makes me feel like they don't have the removal, because I think if they did, stopping 5 damage, taking an extra 5 damage to wait to see if I play a better creature would be super bold. Final days for 2 tapped creatures. That's just it. That's the game. That's all it takes. Oh my god. Judge Magister Gabranth into Dark Knight's Greatsword is so filthy. Incredibly quick game of Magic. And we're 2-1 heading into game 4. Another slower hand. The only game we lost was a slower hand like this that didn't start till 3. But this has even better reasons to keep it. Strongest card in the deck with Primal Odin in here. Great 2-for-1 with Delivery Moogle. Early removal, early-ish removal with Overkill. And then Primal Garuda is better on the defensive, where they're pretty guaranteed to have a tapped creature to blow up. Definitely overkilling the Emperor to slow them down before we pass. So they can't use that mana for their spells. Blue-red mana value 4 or greater is the strongest deck in the format, but again, this was the most balanced draft format in a very long time in terms of the power level of the color pairs. So it's not the end of the world to be playing against it or anything here. This is kind of the end of the world. Having this Rev not hit a land, still stuck on 3. Super rough. I think we just take the intervention. So whenever we do find the 4th land, that buys us quite a lot of time, being able to blow up their biggest threat and gain some life. That was a really, really rough miss on Resentful Revelation. No lands in the top 3 there. So we miss our 4th land draw. And here's where the blue-red decks start popping off. In the late game, they get to start playing. You know, this is a 3-3, and then also I'm going to get a 5-5 off the same card. It's just a lot of big 2-for-1s like that. Actually going to lead Traxos here. Blue-red should have... Well, red should have a difficult time killing them, unless they have Suplex. That's the one red removal spell that can hit Traxos by itself. From blue, it'll be a little easier. Plenty of ways to tap them and keep them tapped. But actually, the tap and keep them tapped cards don't really work against Traxos, which is nice. Do we really need to slow our opponent down here at 10? So we can Garuda the bomb. And am I on full defensive? They crack back for 6, even if they blow up Garuda? I don't think so. Jamming 7. This is a very quick clock. This is a 3-turn kill. I guess if for some reason they're running like the Active of Treason, the steal an opposing creature card, then we're dead. They steal Garuda and hit us for 9. I guess not literally dead on board, but it'd be pretty easy to find lethal if they had that. They tap out here. For a bunch of creatures on the ground, I could... Oops, I win off of Greatsword. Greatsword's 13 damage. We're going to have 11 in the sky. And Greatsword would make that 14 in the sky. Okay, so they do blow up the Garuda, okay. And hit. We go down to 4. We hit a land. I cannot afford to Greatsword onto this. So I think we play both of these. So I have a lot of blockers up. And they're low. Traxos is so sick in this deck. Alright. Yeah, you saw that with Traxos dodging the 6 damage 5-mana removal spell. We might just die to a VV because, I mean, it's VV. But we'll see. Traxos dodges sleep magic. If I top deck a land, Traxos dodges sleep magic. We do have to chump here. They're dead if I draw a land, though. Because I untap Traxos and swing. I guess I don't have the life to put Greatsword on Traxos, so they're not quite dead. They're close. Oh no, they are dead, because I'd blow up Vivi. Yes! Yes! Traxos OP! That was awesome. That was a really quick, really close game of Magic. I mean, as we said, it was one of the slowest hands that we kept, so we could have just gotten our second loss, similar to our first loss there, since we didn't really do anything till turn 3 or 4. The missed land draw with the Revelation was also looking real sketch, but once we hit that 4th mana for Traxos, I mean, this was just the train that never stopped rolling. That was gross, and it's particularly great against blue-red. Their only real solution to it being the suplex to exile it. Otherwise, the blue ways to keep it tapped don't work when I get to keep on tapping it. And the red damage base spells are just not quite 7 damage. Really good showing from Traxos there. They did have some cards available in the color pair that would have made it a worse matchup. Like if they drew into bounce spells like Eject and Ice Magic, I think we still just lose there pretty handedly if they put Traxos back in her hand. But lucky enough, it works out great for us, and we're 3-1 heading into game number 5. All right. Solid opening hand here. We got a 2-mana creature, 3-mana creature start beating down. Drew the second white source. That was one of the small concerns in the hand. We had a double white spell, but only 1 lanes. And that double white spell is going to make the Gala Cat really good. Or the Jelly Cat. I have no idea why. But if you listen to the Lords of Limited podcast, Lord Tupperware likes to call this the Jelly Cat. Maybe that's how it's pronounced. I don't know. I could be the one who's wrong. Zach's really nice here. If they play anything we want a white Aura Sight, we get to cast the Aura Sight and then the Zach for one in the same turn, and I'm perfectly happy to Aura Sight a Chocobo. He's getting 2 counters off the Shoe Puff as well. Yeah, this is going to be a really nice turn. Very efficient with the Aura Sight and the Zach, and then the synergy of having a staff on board plus an Aura Sight. Ah. Traxos, though? Alright, you can stay, Chocobo. I can still exile it even if it's massive next turn. But I'm going to take one pretty big hit from it to crack back for an even bigger hit by having a Traxos on this board. Now, that doesn't work out if they just go land, Sephiroth's Intervention, my Traxos, but if they don't do that immediately, then we'll have Zach up on future turns. Alright, they're holding the 4 mana up, so this is probably going to be the kill on Traxos. Best play is just Aura Sight the Chocobo regardless. Yeah, I mean, that was fairly obvious, but even if we didn't have a Traxos on board, this would be our play, so it doesn't really impact us too hard. Still end up ahead on board by a good margin. I mean, it does impact us a decent chunk in terms of going from like a wildly winning board state to just being ahead, but certainly doesn't put us behind or anything. Yeah, I don't think I need to intervention this early still. 3-turn clock here in the sky. Gaining a bit of life each swing, keeping the 2/2s off us really easily. This looks like a good turn. The only flaw to this turn is that we're not holding up the mana for Zach by playing Paladin's Arms as well. So they have this one window of opportunity to blow up our flyer. But if they don't have the removal for it this turn, fairly certain that they do lose to it. And they did not have the removal for it there. 4 mana for the re-equip on the Paladin's Arms, but it's an extra 2 damage. 2-turn kill either way, whether or not there's a Paladin's Arms on this cat, so I don't think I need to move that. I think I'd rather play the Rod and hold up Intervention. Because, like, even if I don't get a Black Mage's Rod ping or whatever, I can just move the arms to that next turn and hit for 6 in the sky, and that's lethal. The one thing that in theory could stop it is the salvagers gaining life. But if I don't kill any of their creatures, they don't get any life. And I don't need to. Take 9. Okay, Town Greeter gained life here. We still have lethal from Black Mage's Rod plus re-equips. Well, I guess maybe not with the salvagers. Yeah, this is where we maybe get punished. We're just like a tiny bit off lethal. I can hit for 7 in the sky. I guess I could go for the weirdest lethal in the universe. I hit for 7 in the sky, and I have to intervention my own creature so that salvagers doesn't trigger. Could also preemptively Zack onto the cat. If their last card's instant speed removal, their last card's intervention, I think we lose. Because I think I have to like pop Zack for a counter on the cat here. Oh, those have trample anyway. The blocks are irrelevant. I can block and give indestructible, but then I kill one, they gain 1, they're at 9. I can hit for 5, 6, 7, 8. So no blocks. Yeah, I just need to go all in. Zack there. I needed to top deck a land for this to be lethal. I'm 1 mana off of the double equip here. Ooh, that hurts. I think that was still the right play, because again, just land off the top, they're dead right now. What if I blow up salvagers? They gain 1, they're at 9. They block there. Well, they gain 1, lose 1. They stay at 8. Chump. 5, 6, 7. 1 damage off. Shoot. Alright. 2-turn kill. The plan has been derailed. We did not hit a land. Ride the shoe puff. Alright, we're good. I think this one certainly could have been played out better. We probably missed a damage somewhere earlier where we could have gotten that lethal last turn without having to double equip. And if we didn't miss a damage there, then maybe there was a safer way to do that than the Zack sack to try to get the next turn lethal. I'm not sure, but it does work out in the end, and we are now... We had some really quick games here, so I think we're actually 4-1 already. Yeah, positive record out of the draft, no matter where things go from here. Alright, we are now on the draw for game number 6. Turn 1 Stiltskin, turn 2 Staff. Opponent leads with Magitech Infantry. You better play an artifact turn 2 or my Stiltskin's holding that bad boy right off. Yeah, let's go. Good stuff, Stiltskin. Appreciate ya. Alright, we've drawn a lot of top end spells, so we're trying to find any mid-range creatures. There's a cat for our opponent. And we're top decking lands, which is not the worst. We did need a second black at some point, but certainly sad not to have a play this turn. Probably wouldn't be the end of the world to just put the staff on the Stiltskin here. Alright, they activate the infantry. Send in the cat. Intervention the cat while they're tapped out, since they're a blue deck. I think I should have put staff on merchant while I had the chance, because then that would have led into a good attack there. Or my blocks are better with Stiltskin on merchant. Yeah, that ended pretty awkwardly for me. Crossed my mind, but I don't think I considered the possibility enough that that could be a good play. I do not want you, lands. Do not want you at all. Tidus is a massive issue here. Shutting off blocks. Just gain as much as we can on attacks now. No artifact to play with him at least, so just 6 damage. Holy counterspells, Batman. Drop Great Sword then. Over the great 6 drops. Still enough to be winning the race. If it's instant speed removal on Stiltskin, I do shoot myself 3 for nothing here, but if it's not, it's so good. They should have done that before I declared the attack, but that works too. I will gain 1 back. Guess who's back? Back again. Somebody's taking a trade here. You're gonna removal spell a 1/1 token? Okay. Cool. Down to 5. Got the mana to cast this through a Syncopate. Not playing Greatsword into a ice magic from our opponent. In fact, I think I have to go full defense here. Just drop Zac as well. Since I got the Syncopate, sure, you can Syncopate a 1/2. In theory, when Primalorn's about to sack himself, I can give that to them with Stiltskin to draw an additional card. However, as low on life as I am right now, it's going to be difficult to justify tapping our lifelinker in that way. 2 mana after casting Marlborough, so I don't have the mana to equip anything here, and I still think it's too risky to pay a life to move to Stiltskin when they could just eject Stiltskin. So just send in the 5/3 and cast Marlborough. How bad do I want that draw to? Am I okay with this trade? I think I want the draw pretty bad. I'm gonna put stops so I have the option of giving them Odin before it sacks itself next turn. But again, I'm not so sure that's what I want to do. But having the option is important, and I don't think I have the option on Arena if I don't put stops there. Cool. That's fun. Lunar Whale after that? Alright, you got me. Too bad I'm dead in the sky here. Here we are now for game number 7. We are 4-2. Just got deleted by a board wipe for the second loss. That's gonna happen. There's only the one board wipe in the set, really, for blue-white. So that was a rough one. Just gain one here for free. Still have the 1-2 to block there, 1-4. I don't think I mind if I trade a combat trick into one of these. I guess Wanderings would be kind of rough. Yeah, that card is very popular. I should probably have played around Wanderings. They did not have that, though. Do they have the Syncopate for Ash? Nope. Ash digs for artifacts in our top 5. Digs for some Traxos goodies. Unfortunately, no Traxos mana yet. I could cycle Marlborough and play Staff here. Know that I have Traxos mana next turn. I think we just see what Ash draws first before we decide what we're doing for the turn. Nothing. Feels a little bold against a bunch of open mana and Arena constantly holding, for instance, for them to sack Zac here. Because I could get 2 for 1 pretty bad if I sack Zac and then they just have like Ice Magic or something. Let's get our mana here. Call the Mountain Chocobo from blue-green, so blue-green-red. Get a blocker and get a land. Run out the Traxos here. Ooh, Orosite. Really good draw. Yeah, if they don't have a way to blow up a Traxos here, Traxos into Orosite should be a really, really impactful turn. T-Rexar? Well, we got the spell for that. Land off the top's good too. We can play the cat here. Seven, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I guess they could afford to kill Stiltskin and let everybody else in. There's our historic spell off of the Ash card draw. Colosseum Behemoth, blow up Traxos or blow up Orosite, both are pretty solid. Blow up the Orosite, gain some life, 2 blockers up. I can untap Traxos, ping off of the rod, kill one of their blockers. And I'm not 100% confident, but I think this is lethal. Yeah, there's the concession from our opponent. So we trample for 1 there. That's 7 damage plus 7, 8. Yep. Little bit over lethal. Puts them to -2. That is now 5 and 2 guaranteed in the money out of this draft, wherever things go from here. Another hand starting on turn 3 here. But great spells. The Overkill, the Intervention, the Greatsword's been consistently good. Alright, opponent takes 1 mulligan. We drop a swamp and pass the turn. Green deck over there. The poo-poo UFO. They have cast the poo-poo. I could overkill that so that if they do have a bunch of lands in hand, they don't get to just dump them all real quick, but I think that's less risky when they're on a mulligan. This doesn't like draw them any extra lands out of their deck or ramp any lands out. Yep, they didn't play a land for turn, so at the very least we know they don't have double land here. They could go plop a town and activate this. No, they don't have the 3 mana up for that. Yeah, they're stuck on Forest. Forest would have been a super bad call to overkill the UFO. I mean, unless they could still end step a town here. If they only have 1 land in hand, then they can, you know, cheekily play it at instant speed for fun instead of playing it for their land for turn. But they did not have a town there. They top decked the island, so the risky keep has not gone super terribly for them. They found the land relatively quickly. The second draw, I believe. Okay. Could play Orosite and Black Mage's Rod here. The auto tap. The order I have to do it in is a little bit awkward, but I think double spelling is still worth it here. And we're shutting off their card draw spell, their draw and discard. That stops them from looting towards a land as easily. They're under enough pressure here. I'm just going to go both of these on this creature because the 3/2 just bounces off. So I might as well try to get 6 in instead of 4, or make it more likely to force the trump. But this is a game where I am free to just keep spending 3 wherever I want to move that around. Combat tutorial. It's actually kind of big on the UFO here, giving it a power to stop my 1/1s. They draw 2 lands off the tutorial. So go swamp and then block, play the next land they drew. That would be solid, but I'm pretty sure they're dead here if they don't have cheap removal. Actually, I'm 100% there. Sure that they're dead if they don't have cheap removal. We just kill their 1 blocker and that's it. Alright. That is gonna be game. Exact lethal here off of the Black Mage's Rod trigger. There's the concession from our opponent. We are 6-2, officially taking this deck all the way to the final battle. Weird hand here. We've only got the 1 threat. It's the 3-drop Greatsword, but the Revelation can dig towards a good creature to play alongside. Ooh. Torgal on the play means I won't be able to blow that up till it's ramped them at least once, but I'll be able to blow it up next turn. Yeah, that is a scary start. On the play with a turn 2 mana dork can always do some explosive stuff. An incredible rare that I can't stop with removal. Certainly is a final boss, isn't it? Yeah, even if I blow up this token, they just move that to somebody else like Torgal. My plays are to play a blocker and hope that I stop them from triggering Ninja's Blades here, or I just blow up Torgal and stop them from having their second color for now. I think I need to just kill this Torgal and allow Ninja's Blades trigger to happen. They draw and discard every turn, so it helps dig them for what they need. They top deck the swamp anyway, and it damages me every time they loot as well. So very, very strong card. Discard a 7-drop? Honestly, it's obviously a lot of damage, but don't hate not having to face that later. I'm kind of certain I'm dead no matter how I play this, though. After that swing, but we'll see. Going for this line for mana efficiency of double blocker next turn now. Oh yeah, we're dead no matter what. They're just getting rared hard. Alright. That's also the mill 5 to make this the gigantic trampler, which makes the intervention target rough. But yeah, unless they milled like an extra 5, this wouldn't be flipping this turn. Well, that was quick. They just have trample lethal already. Not much of a final boss. Just get wombo comboed out of it. It happens. You know what's wild is I think we are actually winning on the play because we could have overkilled Torgal before it tapped a single time. So they couldn't have played Ninja's Blades as early as they did. They wouldn't have drawn and discarded. By the time they could actually play Ninja's Blades, we already would have had several blockers. We would have stopped that entirely. So super, super dependent on play draw there. Whether we turn 3 kill Torgal before their turn 3 because we're on the play, or they get to cast Ninja's Blades off of Torgal before our turn 3 because they're on the play. Rough stuff. 6-3 it'll be, though. Still an excellent record for this deck. Certainly some explosive, balmy losses today, but that is a big part of Magic, that's a big part of Draft, and a big part of Final Fantasy. As great as the set is as awesome as the color balance is, and as fun as it is to win with some great bomb rares, it does mean you're also going to lose to some great bomb rares. You know, we killed plenty of people with Traxos. Primal Odin actually showed up not as often, but Traxos was crazy stuff here. That was really fun with this deck. I think this is the best Traxos build I have ever had in this set. That was super fun for the deck. So 6-3, probably about right for this deck on average. Would have loved to get a full 7-win trophy with it, but that is still a great run where we are up in prizes and a great showing from Black-White. Very happy with how we drafted this. These colors seemed more than open. We got incredible black removal spells and great white aggressive creatures, glue the peanut butter with the jelly, get a really strong deck, as well as tons of great synergies. A lot of good cards to work with Traxos, having multiple saga creatures and a ton of artifact creatures and legendary creatures, making the Traxos very consistent. Yeah, this deck just had a little bit of everything. Great curve, great removal, and great synergy with some bombs. So, sweet stuff for the draft, even if it doesn't end in a full trophy run. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.